Hi, this is John Maddox. So today we're gonna talk about my week ending here, training and everything. So we just finished up 3 weeks of hard, heavy training. It's a lot of fun, by the way. I like hard, heavy training. So, and for the week ending here, April 19th, like I said, I already mentioned on my last video, obviously hit a PR the previous week in a bent row, 505 pounds, did it very easy. Now that I got my deadlift down to every other week, in between that every other week for heavy deadlifting, it's much easier for me to do heavy bent rows because my lower back's not all beat up. So I tried doing bent rows this past Friday, right on the 19th, and my lower back was tired from pushing it on Tuesday. So I could barely get, you know, 495 off the ground because of my lower back being so tired. So, but I did my full workout. Usually once I do my bent rows first, so I actually go back and forth between certain exercises on my upper body day, for example. So I may start off with bench. So, and my bench workout this week, because I now have transitioned, there's certain things I wasn't doing before to make sure that I stick to the bench. So I've been wrapping the bench now with I don't know, we have someone who cuts up these yoga mats and puts these Velcro straps around them so that they can be fastened to the bench. And then I chalk the crap out of them too so they stick to the bench. So I'm not sliding all the way down the bench like I was before, which was put me in a non-optimal position for pressing. So the last couple of weeks that I've been doing that, my bench press has jumped up almost 40 pounds, but just having better leverages. So with 419, so if I start off with the bench, um, I did 295. The easiest I've ever done it in months now. I could have did it for a triple easily. Then I went up to the board presses. And so when I do my bench workout, let me just back up a little bit here for you. I usually what I do is I find a bunch of 25s, and I like a certain type of 25. And what I do is I'll start with the bar, right? And then I'll just add a 25, do a set, add another 25, do a set, add another 25, and do a set. I'll do that all the way up, just like that. So after I did 295, which I did like nothing, I went to 345 in the board. I did that like nothing. And so I jumped up to the most I've board pressed in a long time, which was 395. And so Art spotted that off to me. I took it down, but I got a little nervous because as soon as I brought it to my chest, Art backed up. He wasn't sitting there to make sure I was okay. But when he came back to spot me, then I did a pretty good attempt at pressing the 395 from a two board. So when I say board, right now I'm pretty much doing two boards. But now that I've got myself in a more optimal benching position, my benching is much stronger. I see myself when I come back, I'm taking next week off because I've hit it hard for 3 weeks. Let my body recuperate. Then when I come back, my goal is to hit the 640 squat. I did it a little better this past Tuesday, fighting it at the top. So I can blow it out of the hole now, but I'm getting caught. See, I have a sticking point when I come out of the hole before I can transition up in my squat. And right now, 640 is catching me there. I had a little bit of a fight with it this past Tuesday. So hopefully I'll officially knock it out next week after I take myself a break. I'm going to eat like crazy this week. I mean, everything's about breaking that record. But even in my lockouts in the deadlifts this past week, um, I'm realizing I can't go wide. For some reason I want to go wide and it's really wide, right? And I just don't have the leverage in my hips to go super wide. And then when I bring my hips back, my feet in a little closer, like a modified sumo position, I can pull the weight like it's nothing. So I initially tried super wide with 765. I can get it all the way up to my knee, but then I fall over. I have no leverage to drive my hips through at the end. Bring my feet in a little bit, and I lock it out like it's nothing. So I feel in a really good position right now with my training. There's more consistency now from when I first did these things, figuring stuff out. Like I just can't go wide no matter what even if I want to, I just need to stop doing it. Right. Let's go to where my leverages are optimal. And this hip injury is getting better. It's not 100% yet. But one of the things I could see, because once the injury happened 2 years ago, because this is April 2 years ago from when this injury happened, when the piece of gym equipment malfunctioned and a pole jabbed me up in my hip. and actually knocked my hip out. And like I said, when I ended up getting an MRI 6 months later because things kept getting worse, they didn't even say my hip was out. They just said my sacrum was out. So realizing how crazy this injury is, but when your hip is not doing well, it's very difficult to do a conventional deadlift. People don't understand how important it is to have both your hips working properly to do a conventional deadlift. And so my hip strength is getting better. My hip is starting to heal. And normally anything that's below my knees in a conventional position, that's what really cranks my hip the most. And so the last 3 or 4 times I've attempted to deadlift now in a conventional position below the knee, my hip is actually held together, hasn't been hurting, and I've been able to do, for example, I was doing 6 plates just for reps, like it's literally nothing, like children's weight. And then I jumped up to 7 plates, and I haven't handled 7 plates in a conventional deadlift below the knees because of this hip pain that I've had, right? For almost 2 years. Because when the injury happened, my deadlift just disappeared as soon as I couldn't conventionally deadlift anymore. So by October is when I went and got the MRIs done, right, of 2022. So I was doing really well up until that point in time. It did impact my squat for some reason, but the deadlift disappeared very quickly after the injury. And eventually I had to stop everything to go figure out what was going on, right? Get the MRIs and then try to plan my ability to come back. And I think I mentioned this in another video. What we tried to do with the chiropractor wasn't enough. And then I brought Dennis Novelli in, who specializes with the sacrum. I see him every single week. I see Matt too. Matt helps more with the decompression, make sure my feet are aligned, stuff like that. And then Dennis is the one who sits there and works with my sacrum, gets the inflammation out of my hip. He actually has a device there too that helps to get inflammation out. So I see him every week as well. And all this cumulative effort, the hip is getting better. I'm not getting any issues with my pinched nerves. So my strength is doing very well right now, and I'm very happy. So I mean, getting my best bent row just within the last 2 weeks, been able to take 760. When I took 765 that second attempt, because the first one I was going extra wide, I did it almost immediately after missing it, right? Falling over backwards. I literally just put my feet in closer, grabbed 765 and pulled it. I didn't sit there and wait 4 minutes, 5 minutes, wait for someone else to do their set. I just right back in and I did it. And then I went into heavy shrugs. I couldn't do them 2 weeks ago because I kinked my neck. And then, yeah, 765 for an easy triple in the shrug. And then I held on to 855. That's what I like to do when I shrug, because I usually am up a little higher for my shrugs in the rack with a pin position. And then I can grab like 855 and hold on to it. The most I've ever held on to was 905. I think when I come back, I'm going to start regularly, hanging on to 885. It just helps my body to build the stability to know that I can do it. For me, at the top end, I could easily do 800 pounds. So I want to get my squat goal out of the way, 640. And once I do that, then it's all about pulling from the floor. It's all about getting this 800 pounds. So we're getting close here in our journey. So I want to go back to bench day, right? So now that I've wrapped my bench, I'm not sliding down the bench, my pressing, because my triceps, my arms, my body weight, everything's the biggest I've ever been. So you expect your strength to go up. And so when my bench wasn't going up, we started looking at everything that was wrong. And what I was realizing is when I slide down this bench, it just puts me where I'm in a very strange position to press. And now that I can stick to the bench, position myself better, utilize my drive off my chest better, that's what's causing the difference. So it's almost a 40-pound difference in strength, just having the proper leverages, using the proper leverages. So once I bench, right, then I go over and do and I only do usually one set of inclines. So like I said, I'll work my way up because I have to warm up on the bench. I use the 25s, like I said, every set. I went all the way up to 395 for a 2-board. 345 was like nothing. And then I go and hit a set of inclines. And usually I've been doing 55s for those. I try to do a decent incline. I don't want it to be a shoulder press, but I want it to be a good incline. I don't like to have a low incline because I really can't do shoulder presses because my shoulder will bug me. So it's funny. So on a decline position, my left arm is the one that bugs me. But on an incline position, my right arm is the one that bugs me. And my right arm is when I had the rotator cuff tear and I've had the surgery before. So it's strange which one bugs me to which movement I'm doing. So a lot of things that I do, it's to work around injuries. So I want to stress that to people. If something really hurts, just try a different position with it and see if you can work around it. like I said, I use a regular bench bar, for benching, but when I squat, I like to use a cambered bench bar, the squat, because it takes stress off of my shoulders from having shoulder issues. But eventually I got to transition to a regular bar if I ever want to get ready for a meet, because it is different having your hands down a little lower than having them up here, you know. But it takes a lot of stress off your shoulders. I will tell you that right now. Um, and so after my incline set, that's all my pressing for that day because I've already hit it. I did regular benches, I've done board presses, and then I've now done a heavy set of incline presses. So then I move to my lat work. So then I do my bent rows, right? And I like to have the weight when I do bent rows elevated about 5. I think we got these smaller platforms about 5¼ inches or 5½ inches, something like that. And I like to start the weight from there. And I also like to hold the barbell just on the outside of the markings, right? So not on the inside. There's a lot of people that almost do a deadlift when they go to do a bent row, and then they start doing their movement. It's like almost like a close grip, and it's from your knee up to your stomach, where you're not really getting much range of movement. So when I go wide and I have that bar up a little bit, my lats are engaged immediately when I go to start that very first rep. As soon as I go to start it, I feel the lats. So I think that's a much better position. And it does kill your hamstrings when you have to do bent rows in that position. But when I'm done with that, I go do a set right now with the lat pull downs. And what I've been trying to do is do them stricter so I don't have to throw a dumbbell on there. I think the full stack that we have at our gym is 260 pounds. I did it for 12 reps, and that's the most I've done it in a more stricter fashion. And then after that, I do a couple of exercises. I like to do an exercise where I just bring the bar down like this to help, like when you're unracking the weight, right? Dave Tate, he's got a great video on how to bench from FTS. It's one of the best benching videos I've ever seen. So he stresses that movement. And I kind of like that. And it's a great finishing exercise on your lats after you do them. And then I do myself some tricep push downs. All right. So I do the lats, I do the tricep push downs. And then as I'm walking back to the other side of the gym, if you're familiar with how the Royal Oak Gym is set up, and then we have a machine where you can do the shoulders from behind like this. And then I go over and I do myself one set of concentration curls and I do one set of hammer curls. And I know the hammer curls, the 75s, one of them was missing. So I just went up to 80. So I like to do the hammer curls with 80 pounds. And then that's it. That's it for my whole upper body workout. So, and then even for my lower body day, I squatted. I didn't, after I missed the 640, I didn't go heavier because I just went right into deadlifts. So what I do now is on the week that I'm not deadlifting, that's when I go up and do a heavier negative squat. I'm not doing it now on the days that I'm deadlifting. I'm just trying to conserve my energy to actually deadlift. So, and right now I'm still, pulling lockout position. I'm not pulling from the floor, but I've just squatted. So I'm squatting and I'm going in a bigger deficit than I ever will in the deadlift. So that's why I'm not as concerned about deadlifting from the floor when I'm squatting on the same day. Otherwise you're just wasting a lot of effort, right? The goal is to get in there and train hard and train what you need. So if my legs are already dead and I'm doing my lockouts, that means I'm concentrating more on my lower back. And you're still working your glutes, you're still working your hams, you're still doing all that stuff. All right, so then I did that all the way up to 765. Then I went to my shrugs. Then I went to and I held, and that was up to 765. I usually do some grip exercises when I'm doing shrugs. I start off at 4 plates, and I hold the bar only, not with my thumbs locked. Just trying to hold the weight. I'll go up to 5 plates, and I try to lock out 5 plates with just my hands over the bar for grip. And then what I'll do then as I practice the hook grip, right? Because right now I'm missing the 5. I've done it once where I've locked it all the way out, put it down, and I've not been able to do it since. So, but I do try to make sure I work grip, and I do practice that hook. I've got the hook grip down now. I've just not gone over 5 plates with it. But like I said, I'll start with 4, and then I go all the way up to 8 plates with my shrugs. I did an easy triple, and then I just held on to 855. Just for my body to feel the weight, which from that position now, since I've been doing it for a while, it's pretty easy for me to do it. Like I said, as I hold on to 855 and I look around the gym, I just think of myself as, man, I could see myself pulling this off the floor. You remember, everything's about visualization, right? That's why I like partial movements. I like to stress to people, do a partial movement, not is, you know, it just helps you mentally get used to the weight, so then you can do it in a full movement. So, and then, so right after I'm done doing that work, I always do my glute ham. I usually hold on to a 35 pounder for those. And then I, you know, do some abs, you know, I do my shoulder work now. I'm shoulder work, sorry, on leg day, it's actually my hip work. You know, I'm just doing these now, and I'm doing my machine where I lift the weight up like this. Um, I'm not doing them twice a week anymore. Like I said, I'm not deadlifting every week anymore. So I'm making sure now I'm not overtraining. I can see everything progressing like it needs to, which is great. And then I usually do one set of the conventional deadlifts when I'm doing lockouts. And I was able to use 7 plates, the most I've ever been able to do since my hip is improving. So like I said, this week was really a promising week, the last 2 weeks actually. I'm very close to a PR in the squat. Technically, I could say I'm the strongest I'm squatting, because even before I got injured in October of 22, I was not blowing the weight out of the hole like I am right now. So technically I'm stronger. I just haven't got the full rep. And so I think after I take, so I'm going to be gone this next week, but when I come back, I'm expecting to see some big things. I'm expecting to get the 640 squat. I'm expecting to then start deadlifting 800 pounds. And when I do 800 pounds for the first time, what I'm going to do, since we got these great Titan J hooks things, which are awesome, they're, you know, they're like weighted hooks. So when you lift the weight up, the hook actually goes back, so you can do your position, do your squat. So you don't have to have people help you like in a monolift, or help someone pull pins for you. It automatically goes back, and then when you're done, you just walk into the rack and set the weight back down, and it comes back to where you want it. They're really super cool. If you haven't seen them, they're really cool. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that up when I'm supposed to deadlift after I get the 640 squat, and I'm going to initially start doing it in a negative format first. Because what I'm hoping from a strong position like that I can just come down, you know, touch the ground and come back up with 800 pounds, you know, and just start shooting from doing it dead from the floor, you know, later on from there. But just work with it from every position. If I can start at the top and then come down, you know, that's another way of getting used to it before I start going from the bottom and come up. But I feel very confident I can do it. Feel that my legs are the strongest they've ever been. I mean, I missed 760 in 1998. And I wasn't squatting when I'm squatting now. So, you know, the key is your back strong, are your hips strong, are your glutes strong? And I work on all those. I attack every one. I shrug like crazy. I use the glute ham. I hold on to, like I said, 35 pounds. And if I'm not doing a bunch of work first, I can hold on to a 45 pounder and knock out 10, 15 reps. So, but when you're dead, doing a bunch of deadlifts, you know, then it's tougher. So, but anyways, everyone, I will see you next week. And like I said, I'm pretty excited. I got to start looking for a meet now. I got to start planning the execution of this deadlift and getting it on the books. Talk to you soon.